what you shall give me." Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom, there lived a king, a queen, and their little princess Olive. They loved her to no ends. They loved her so much that they gave her everything she ever asked for. Thus, her first words were,
"Give me!"
Yep, she was so used to getting her way that once she grew up, if anyone ever asked her for a favor, she would immediately ask them,
"What will I get in return?"
So over the years, her parents gave her everything they could. They dressed very shabbily, as Princess Olive had taken even their clothes.
The entire kingdom is now mine. Is there anything that isn't? Oh!
Ooh! Where did that needle fall? Oh, Olive, thank goodness you're here. Can you please come and help me?
Help you?
Yes, you see, dear, I've lost my sewing needle. It seems to have rolled somewhere.
I'll definitely help you.
Such a sweet...
Only if you give me something in return.
The queen was taken aback.
But my dear, all my possessions are now yours, all except this worn-out dress that I'm wearing.
There is one thing, and that's your crown.
What? But this crown is that of a queen's. You aren't a queen yet.
It is funny that it's coming from you. You're not even dressed like a queen, and you possess nothing.
Well,
The queen was completely ashamed of herself and wearily handed over the crown.
Yes! Oh, and the needle's next to the vase. You'll find it easily if you look carefully.
And out she went back to her room to look at herself in the mirror. The crown was a little too big for her.
Well, it will fit me in a few more years. Now there's one more left.
She went to her father's room and found him feeling around the air. The poor old king's glasses had fallen, and he was as good as blind without them.
Father!
Darling, would you help your dear old father find his glasses?
Well, I could, but what would you give me in return, dear father?
In return, Olive, sweetheart, you own my entire kingdom. The only thing left is my crown. You couldn't possibly want that.
But I do.
What? But my dear, it's a king's crown.
Oh, what use is it to you? Who ever heard of a king who doesn't even have a kingdom?
The poor king was so hurt and ashamed that he sadly gave his crown to his daughter.
The crown is mine! Now I own everything of this place. Since I have the king's crown, I get to order you. I banish you and your queen.
What? Olive, you can't be serious.
Oh, but I am. Since I own this kingdom, I make the rules.
The poor king and queen were so hurt by everything that they left the palace and sadly walked out of the kingdom. In her room, Princess Olive was trying on the crown, but it slid down her face and onto her shoulders.
Oh, this is too big for me. Let's take it off. What?
But she couldn't remove the crown. It was now stuck.
Oh no! What do I do?
There was no one in the palace, as she had thrown out all the cooks and servants when they had told her off for her spoiled behavior. She went around screaming and banging into the pots and completely made a mess.
Help! Help me!
At that moment, an old lady suddenly came walking up to Olive.
get this crown off me!
Stop that awful noise, would you?
Who are you? Get this crown off of me!
Oh, and what will you give me in return?
What? My mother's good dress.
I don't want that.
All my mother's new dresses and jewels?
Why is it your mother's and not your own?
Okay. Take everything of mine.
But I don't want that either.
By now, Olive was really tired and scared.
Please, take anything you want. Just get this crown off of me.
Anything? Then how about the whole kingdom? I'd really like that.
What? But then I'll have nothing left.
Oh, how sad. Just like how you hurt your parents.
Hearing this, Olive felt a slight pinch in her heart.
What if I don't agree?
Well, then I won't help you. You can roam around forever with that crown on your head. You won't be able to see, eat, or even sleep peacefully. You also won't be able to...
Stop, please, stop. Fine. Take my kingdom and everything. Please just remove this crown.
The fairy smiled and with her magic made the crown disappear.
Thank you. Will you do me one more favor?
Olive asked the fairy if she could help her to meet her parents.
That is a huge favor, you know. It doesn't come cheap.
But Olive had realized her mistake and now missed her parents dreadfully. She readily agreed to anything the fairy wanted. The fairy magically transported them away to her abode.
Well, this is where I live. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't like using magic to do my chores. But now that you're here, you can help me.
And that's exactly what Princess Olive did. Every day, she would cook and clean for the old fairy. She became excellent at her work and soon turned to be very caring and sweet.
Olive, what are you doing here slacking off?
Oh, no, I wasn't slacking off. I was just knitting this sweater for my father.
And is that for your mother?
It is.
The fairy smiled warmly as she saw that Olive had finally changed.
I guess it's time you went to them. You'll find them living in an old cottage a little away from here. Just follow the mud trail and only that.
Olive was ecstatic but baffled about the mud road. She gathered her presents and hurried out.
How strange. What other road do I follow besides the mud road?
She walked for quite some time until the road split into two. The other road was made of silver and rubies. And further down that path, she could see trees of gold.
How beautiful! But nothing can compare to my parents' love for me. That is, if they still love me now.
She followed the mud road and soon reached a shabby little cottage. She looked at it and felt terrible. When she entered it, she felt even worse.
How could I have done this to my parents? I have to make amends fast.
And so she got to cooking a nice warm meal for when they returned. She had learned well from the fairy, and just when she was done preparing everything, she heard the door opening.
Just in time.
And as her parents entered the room, they stared at her in such
Mother, Father, I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me.
Seeing her cry, they hurried over to her.
Oh, sweetheart, it's all right. We love you no matter what.
My sweet Olive, we will always love you.
Olive wiped her tears and remembered the food she'd made. She showed it to her parents. She also gave them her presents, and they were very surprised. As they sat eating, she told them all about the crown and witch. They realized as she spoke how gentle and caring she had become and were pleased.
Let's go home. I promise to be much nicer.
My dear, you already are.
They soon returned to the palace, and once Olive had returned the crowns, the king and queen brought back all the helpers who had left. They were greatly surprised at the change in the princess and soon forgot all about her terrible ways. There is a great effort that goes into giving someone something. We must always be grateful for what we receive and know that when doing a favor, we must always do it straight from our hearts.